I'm coping with a technology breakdown this morning, so I have to apologize in advance. My computer refused to read PowerPoint, so I've had to edit my PowerPoint separate from my text, so I hope the pictures and the text kind of make some sense, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. This project began with my unexpected trip to Kyrgyzstan. I call myself the Accidental Archaeologist. It was a wonderful and amazing experience, and overall I came away with a sense of awe and delight at the places that I got to see and the people that I met. That's where Kyrgyzstan is. It's the orange place on the left, or on the right. But I came away with a concern about the impending impact of globalizing forces from tourism and the international art market and the domineering ideologies of multinational organizations. Specifically, I was concerned that there was virtually no formal cultural resource management. And the Kyrgyz people that I met, who were very educated and very engaged with the world through friendly contact with visitors like me and awareness of media outlets, were nevertheless, heritage is an area that global media misunderstands, as we all know, and the Kyrgyz people I met were often actually unaware that the Kyrgyz landscape is full of archaeological sites that are unique and fabulous and vulnerable. So in this photograph, you see an inset. Kyrgyz is a place where people have traditionally hunted with eagles. Very few people still do that today. If you hunt with an eagle, it's a full-time job to keep the eagle in training. But it's a practice that occurred in the Iron Age. Behind the inset, you see a petroglyph of a horseman on a horse that's very tricked out with a fancy saddle with tassels on it, and you can see the eagle tackle on his hand. Here he's holding the eagle, and here's the eagle's tail, and there's its body. So I was concerned that, first of all, Kyrgyz archaeologists haven't had much access to new ideas about community-based research or even more ordinary research technologies, that there's not any kind of public outreach going on. So actually, many of the people I met told me that because Kyrgyz heritage is nomadic, there is no archaeology in Kyrgyzstan because nomads don't leave anything behind. And even more problematic to me, there was just no public conversation about heritage and cultural property. These are kurgans, these are the burial mounds of Bronze to Iron Age Kyrgyz nomads who actually clearly left quite a bit behind. Another issue of concern, however, was the fact that outside groups are already making decisions. This is the only major archaeology project that's going on right now at the site of Navikat. The funding is from Japan, being funneled through UNESCO. And I'm sorry that for some reason this slide has cut off the quote from the UNESCO official who says in the quote, and it's on the UNESCO website, that it's important for UNESCO to become involved in the archaeology of Kyrgyzstan because these UNESCO archaeologists are going to give the Kyrgyz back their heritage. I'm not kidding you. This is actually said on the website, which for me seems creepy. But what's even more concerning is that the heritage that is being preserved in this case, this is a Buddhist site, and most people today self-identify as Islamic. So it seems like a strange heritage to choose to give to Kyrgyzstan. It just seems like the Kyrgyz people haven't had much consultation. So finally, some of the political rhetoric that was very prominent when I first went to Kyrgyzstan has to do with promoting a nationalist identity of nomadism that's presented to the public as truth without any consultation with the public. It tends to be a violent image of the past and an exclusionary vision of Kyrgyz history, which is not actually exclusively nomadic necessarily, nor were the nomads really actually of the sort envisioned by Hollywood. But on the other hand, the people that I met were extremely eager to talk about heritage and to consider the issues. And from the start, I have emphasized the point that I'm not an expert in Kyrgyz heritage, and I don't have a plan for what to do about this situation. But I decided to just talk to people and see if they were interested, and indeed they certainly are. So in 2007, I got a grant from the US State Department. I have to confess that I feel like I'm confessing an evil sin. The director of UNESCO asked me how I could visualize a positive role for archaeology when I took money from the US State Department. And a reviewer of one of my graduate students' grant proposals said, what did that student think was going to happen to her career when it was discovered that she had taken money from the US State Department? To which I responded, where does this person think the National Science Foundation gets its money? At any rate, I will say that from my perspective, having gotten support out of George Bush to fund this project is one of my finest achievements. At any rate, I got a grant from the State Department to bring a group of curious people to the United States. At that time, Asipa, who's here at the back of the room, came on board to guide me in figuring out who should come. The idea was to visit community museums, which could be a way local groups could develop a conversation among stakeholders in Kyrgyzstan, maybe. We just thought that if people have more information about how heritage is used and handled outside Kyrgyzstan, more people could and would become involved. So we approached the project as participatory action research, and I introduced as many types of heritage specialists to the Kyrgyz project members as possible. The guy in the white sweater is Mac Chapin, one of the originators of community-based mapping. He came to talk to people about community-based mapping. There's also a public education specialist in the picture. I also thought that Indigenous American heritage specialists would be an especially valuable source of experience and ideas. So in conversation with Sonia Atale, my colleague at IU, I got an introduction to her tribe, who hosted our visit to the Zibwing Center of the Saginaw, Michigan Chippewa tribe. Their heritage specialists, especially Shannon Martin, shared information and knowledge with us that was absolutely transformational for all of us. The project went really well because the results of the project are dramatic. The Kyrgyz project members formed a national heritage association called the Kyrgyz Sacred Heritage Association. I was shown the formal official articles of incorporation that have been approved by the Kyrgyz government when I was there over the summer. It was incredibly exciting. They organized and held a symposium in the National Museum, which included a bunch of police cadets who were invited to come and learn about what is Kyrgyz heritage, what material culture looks like from the past. And the project members have made a very concerted effort to include multicultural, multi-ethnic voices in the Heritage Association. So that the first president of the association that was elected, Avaz, who I'll talk about a little bit again in a minute, is actually a Kyrgyz citizen who speaks Uzbek from the south of Kyrgyzstan. And he became co-president with a Kyrgyz-speaking member of the project. But, and then among the members and the people that the original participants brought into the program, they came forward with 13 grassroots projects that they proposed for ways that they wanted to address heritage issues within their country. But ethnic violence slowed us down last year. Not only was it not really safe for foreigners to be wandering around, it just wasn't appropriate for the kind of heritage issues that I was concerned about to be the focus. So at this point, I was afraid that our efforts might have been too little too late. Things have stabilized. Several of the projects have gone ahead and moved forward without me. This is one of the reasons I feel emboldened to say that the project is working, since it's moving forward under initiative and enthusiasm and passion of the individual members. But this is also the great challenge of this project. This year, in trying to get restarted, I had to figure out how to grapple with how to require Kyrgyz citizens working on projects concerning Kyrgyz heritage to comply with human subjects protocols for me. iPinch helped me figure out that this needed to be a conversation between me and the project developers, so I made an extra trip to Kyrgyzstan this summer to work on that and I think made some good progress. The next problem is that some of the projects that iPinch agreed to fund were done without iPinch support during the time that I couldn't get there, and are now ready to be accepted in the next phase of their effort. So I will need to start virtually from scratch to get these new iterations approved. The progress made by these sub-projects has made it clear how we can restructure the overall project to make a better use of iPinch funds and at the same time put more of the decision-making of the organization into Kyrgyz hands. Avaz proposed a questionnaire to get community input on how to work on preserving the monument that he's in charge of. As a curator, in my absence, the questionnaire was done. Now he needs support to do what the community asked him to do through the questionnaire. Chinarbek's original project was Heritage Through the Eyes of Children, to use kids' photographs in a museum exhibition. I was able to be present for Chinarbek went around to all the archaeological sites in the southern region, took photographs of them, and convened a meeting of the land use managers of the region to show them what archaeological sites in the region look like. And all of them knew all of the places that were in the photographs, but had no idea that they were archaeological sites. And the room was electric. It was one of the most exciting experiences of my life, because the people who were present were so excited about what they were seeing and what they were learning, and immediately just shouting out plans for things to do to address preservation and education and knowledge. So I'm just going to cut to the conclusion, because I'm afraid I'm over my limit. My goal is to make sure that this is one of the last, if not the last time, you or anyone else will have to listen to me talk about what I think about Kyrgyz heritage. In spite of appearances, my plan is, and has always been, to become irrelevant to the future of Kyrgyz heritage, and I am proud to say that on that score, I have made real progress.